Today, the unemployment shock. Hello again, it's Martin North from Digital Finance Analytics, where I latest post covering finance and properties with a distinctively Australian flavour. The unemployment rate fell by 0.5 percentage points to 4.2% according to the ABS data out today. And that is a number much lower than expected, though of course it's before the current informal lockdowns. This will put significant pressure on the RBA to lift interest rates sooner than they planned. And note though that the reference period was the 2 weeks to the 18th of December, so it misses the impact of the Omicron outbreak. Seasonally adjusted, employment increased by 65,000 people, or 0.5% in December. The ABS said that the latest data shows further recovery in employment following the large 366,000 increase in November. This provides an indication of the state of the labour market in the first 2 weeks of December before the large increase in COVID cases later in the month. Recovery in New South Wales and Victoria continue to have a large influence on the national figures, they said, with employment in these two states increasing by 32,000 and 25,000 people between November and December. Their employment was around where it had been in May, having fallen 250,000 and 145,000 during the lockdowns. The increase in employment in December of 65,000 people, around two-thirds of whom were men, at 42,000 men and 23,000 women, coincided with a similar sized fall in unemployment, 62,000 people and 9.8% fall. While the focus is on New South Wales and Victoria, it's also important to mention the other states. Employment gained 6,500 in Queensland, but fell 700 in Western Australia, 1,900 in South Australia and 1,000 in Tasmania. And in terms of unemployment, it fell from 4.6% to 4% in New South Wales, 4.7% to 4.2% in Victoria, down just 0.1 percentage points in Queensland to 4.7%, down to 3.4% from 3.8% in WA, and down from 4.6% to 3.9% in South Australia. This is the lowest unemployment rate since August 2008, just before the start of the global financial crisis and Lehman Brothers collapse, when it was 4%. This is also close to the lowest unemployment rate in the monthly series, February 2008, and for a rate below 4% we need to look back to the 1970s, when the survey was quarterly, the ABS said. The fall in unemployment followed a similar decrease in November at 69,000 people and a 0.6 percentage point fall in the unemployment rate. This coincided with employers reporting increasing difficulties in filling a historically high number of job vacancies. As a result of the similarly sized change in employment and unemployment, the participation rate remained steady in December at 61.1%. That was in contrast to what we saw in November, when a large number of people who were attached to a job re-entered the labour force, which drove the participation rate up by 1.4 percentage points. The participation rate in December continued to be relatively high. It was 0.2 percentage points higher than before the start of the pandemic, and only 0.2 percentage points below the historic high in May and June 2021. It increased by 0.1 percentage points for men to 70.8% and decreased by 0.1 percentage point to 63.1% for women. Looking longer term, the male participation rate is still lower than in 2012, while more women are working than then. This indicates a significant change in the structural basis of employment and, of course, income. And we also know that more older males are no longer in the workforce, something which the ABS data does not highlight. What was surprising was we did not find a jump in workers returning to the labour force. At just 2,500, this saw the participation rate at 61.1%, which is flat. Flat participation is why there was an outsized fall in the unemployment rate to 4.2% from 4.6%. During the pandemic, changes in employment and participation have been particularly large for 15 to 24-year-olds. In December, changes in youth employment up 38,000 and unemployment down 32,000 accounted for more than half of the total movement. The large changes in employment and unemployment in December saw youth labour market measures return to levels we haven't seen since the global financial crisis, the ABS said. The youth employment rate fell by 1.5 percentage points to 9.4%, the lowest since November 2008, and the youth participation rate increased by 0.4 percentage points to 70.5%. That's the highest since September 2008. In New South Wales, hours worked increased for the fourth consecutive month, increasing by 2% in December. Victorian hours worked increased by 1.4%, following a 9.7% increase in November. The continued recovery in employment was also seen in strong increases in hours worked as people continued to return to work in December, the ABS said. The number of employed people who worked no hours due to economic and other COVID-related reasons fell from 138,000 people down to 85,000 people, and that was lower than in May. Alongside the increase in employment and hours, the unemployment rate fell by 0.8 percentage points to 6.6% in December. That's the lowest since November 2008. That was underpinned by a large fall in youth underemployment. With the unemployment and underemployment rates both falling, the underutilisation rate fell by 1.3 percentage points to 10.8%, and that's the lowest since November 2008. Now, of course, everyone will be fixated on that high-level number, the drop in the unemployment rate, but it's important to understand the detail below it. And particularly, some people are now back in the labour force, but maybe on a part-time basis, and a lot of young people are employed again. But the overall mix is still having a significant impact on the participation rate, which is still not where it was previously. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out ahead, and also the overlay of the informal lockdowns relating to COVID as that comes through in the next series. We'll keep an eye on that. I wouldn't be surprised to see the unemployment rate moving higher next month. I'm Martin North from Digital Finance Analytics. Many thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time.